order at 7 o'clock. I'll start with a pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are going to have a moment of reflection, so if you bow your head, this is a moment of silence. Okay, I will continue with roll call. So, excused are Supervisor Kenzel and Trustee Greenwood. Clerk Baracco here. Treasurer Miller here. Trustee Hires
Here.
Trustee Meinke
Here.
Trustee Dingman.
Here.
5 yes, we have a quorum. I'm going to make a motion to have Trustee Dingman lead the meeting. Do I have a second?
Support.
And a roll call. The Clerk Baracco, yes. Treasurer Miller? Yes. Trustee Hires?
Yes.
Trustee Meinke?
Yes.
Trustee Dingman?
Yes.
5 yes. I'll trade that with you.
Thank you.
Well, good evening. Apologize ahead of time. We'll stumble through this. First, resolution 09-12-2458 will be approval of the September 12th, 2024 consent agenda. So move.
Support.
Who moved it?
I did.
Okay. Who supported?
I did.
Mark.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next, we're gonna have public comment. Public comment will be on agenda items only.
We
We
need
have
to
to
vote on
approve. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Trustee Hires.
it and discussion.
Trustee Hires.
What's that?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. Treasurer Miller. Yes. Clerk Baracco, yes. Trustee Meinke.
Yes.
Trustee Dingman.
Yes.
Okay, 5 yes. Motion carried. Open for discussion.
Any discussion on the agenda?
No.
You don't? Erica?
No, it's good.
Good?
No.
Okay, now we'll have public comment. Comment will be on agenda items only. If anybody needs the rules or a refresher on them, we have the rules for public comment outside. Who would like to go first?
The agenda item that I would like to speak on is the water project. Since this all came up, we were told exclusively that we should not worry about this being an enormous loan of millions of dollars that was going to go for a plant that was going to be given to the neighboring municipality, to the city of Battle Creek. We were told that we should not worry about that because this loan was going to be paid back by money from the sky, federal tax dollars that none of us had anything to do with. So no worries. So don't worry about it is what we were told, because Bedford isn't going to pay for this. The whole country, not Bedford. But now it's become clear that only the first part of the project has been approved for this loan repayment. And the people are being ghosted about what's going to happen next. Are we going to incur another $12 million in expenses on the next 2 legs of the water project? And the citizens of Bedford are going to pay for that and then give it to the city of Battle Creek still? We were told by former Supervisor Jones repeatedly that we had her word that there was going to be put in writing that if we were going to be giving that plant away for $1 to the city of Battle Creek, that it would be in writing that we could get it back for $1 too. None of us have ever seen this document. It was never mentioned again after she repeatedly gave us her word that it would happen. So now what's going to happen? Are the citizens of Bedford ponying up for a $12 million gift for water contamination issue that not everyone is convinced of, including the federal government has still yet to make a determination on this water contamination issue. But yet we're spending millions and millions of tax dollars based on the, don't worry about it, we promise you, you won't get left holding the bag on this one story. But it appears very much more that we are going to get left holding the bag the more that we're not told anything. The more that nothing is said as to, yes, we are going to stick to our word. And if it's not 100% repaid, we're not going to be doing it. It would be good to hear something like this from our representatives, from our elected officials who are fiscally responsible what they are planning to do. It's what the people deserve. It's what the people expect.
Thank you, Mr. Schatz. Anybody else like to speak? Okay, closing public comment, reports. Officer LaValle, what do you have for us?
All right, so we took 318 calls for service in the township last month for August. There was a traffic stop down in the area of Oak Street and Wellington Ave. 2 people got arrested because we did find over 1,100 grams of drugs in the vehicle. We did a search warrant on 2 of the houses for those individuals, and officers found more drugs in the house as well as guns. So it was pretty good stop. We had a water rescue in the area of M37 and P Drive North. BCPD was assisted with Bedford Fire and assisting pulling a man out of the Water Creek area near P Drive North. Officers in the Bedford Fire attempted, life-saving measures, but unfortunately the individual passed away, possibly from a medical condition. There was no foul play at all. Okay. We had multiple arrests for OWIs, operating while intoxicated, multiple assault arrests, as well as probation violation arrests as well in the area of the township. So, pretty busy month.
Thank you.
Yep.
Chief?
Apologize not being up there, but I've got a problem with this right leg bothering me on sciatic nerve, so I'll give it right from here. If you can't hear me, I'll speak louder. But right now we have run 728 runs so far this year in the township here, on combination of trees down and accidents and medical runs and stuff like that, and there's stuff there. Out of that 728, we have run 400, better than 4 or 5, almost 500 of them have been over medical runs and stuff like that. But we are still operating pretty good. All the trucks are all running good and stuff. We have assisted the city. They have called us twice for the tower out here. Because their tower is busted down, they get it fixed, and for some unknown reason, it comes breaks again, and then they're down again. So we are in for mutual aid onto them if they need the tower for bigger structure buildings and stuff. We are willing to move it out there and help them out and stuff on it and everything. We're still playing around. I've got 2 more weeks. I got a schooling of the people that are taking the schooling classes. They have 240 hours. They will be done, and they'll have to take their physical test as part of putting up ladders, tying knots, putting on SCBAs and so forth and stuff. Plus they have a big quiz they have to take, which assumes 70% of passing that. Once they do that, and they qualify and pass it all, then they are certified, and we can use them out on the field more than we do at this point. We don't dare to use them until they are certified. We do train them when we have them here, and that's when we have our drills, we get them familiar with things and put them into gear and train them and stuff like that. So they are familiar. And then we have to buy them some new gear coming on up because they are training in old gear. There's no sense of spending money for new gear and fitting somebody and then they're, make it stuff. So other than that, we are moving right on along. We got the spaghetti dinner coming up the 19th of next month in the village area where we usually have it every October, right there at Lions Club and stuff. So we appreciate if you can talk to neighbors and stuff and come and join us again, and we'll have a fun time. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chief.
Board.
Questions for Chief? Thank you, sir. I don't see Mr. Frisbee or Mr. Hosmer. Is somebody see him and I'm missing him? Okay, superintendent report?
So some of my stuff will delve into old business, but it'll watch out there. Had a road meeting a couple weeks ago with the county, and we've got to get a couple of projects about they can afford to a master sign. So I'll be working on that to get to the board for approval by next October, the October meeting. I've been in contact with briefly the gentleman on vacation, but a fellow that's retired from the city. He's currently the road coordinator for Emmett. Has a good working relationship with the county. He actually did road for the city, so he knows what he's doing. And they've adapted some of their practices to his wisdom. So that's kind of a good thing. So I'll be meeting with him once he's back from vacation and hopefully making a recommendation to the board for somebody that has more knowledge, and he's got a plan in place for Emmett to get their roads maintained yearly and on track. So I'll give you more information on that. Budget worksheets went out this week, yesterday, today, I think. The different departments start working on that, and we're going to do meetings probably every other week leading up to the whole class workshop, maybe November, December. But we're on good track. We'll have that ironed out in a good process this year. Construction on the remodel stuff should start by October 1st. Preliminary stuff has already started with electrical and just some of the small ticky things that have to be ordered, that sort of thing, so it can be more efficient once they get to rolling on it. Website is still kind of as I get time to do it thing, which I haven't had time, so it's still there and languishing. To clear up some gross misinformation in the room, the River Road Water Project is a $4,340,000 project. What happens when our CEI, who is our contractor, they submit a request for pay, that goes to Eagle. Eagle approves it. Eagle gives us the money, and then the clerk writes the check. I can't make that any more transparent and clear. $12 million. That might be maybe another municipality. We run on about a $3.5 million budget, so 12 million. You can kind of see that can be kind of impossible for us to spend. But those are the facts, guys. $4.34 million. That's it. Preliminary work on Ellis Harmonia. Yes, that's coming out of the general fund. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. There was no misinformation about that from the get-go. You have to spend money to hire firms to look into this, to draw up a plan, because my pencil scratch on a notebook, piece of paper is not going to get the government to look at it and approve it for us. So that's it on that. I think that's all I've got. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Beamish?
I do have questions on the project. The first part is how far complete?
On River Road,
Yeah. The first
They're
project.
saying a month, it's gonna be a month before it's
90%.
ending, yeah.
So the first project is completely covered by Eagle, and that one's golden. We're not gonna have to worry about
Correct.
payment back on that.
Correct.
What about the second
The
project?
second one, we actually just found out today that the we didn't score high enough for it to be funded completely, 100%, so, yeah. I think it's not going anywhere.
Okay.
Because when we said, when we voted to explore that option, it was that we would explore it until we weren't 100% funded. And then we didn't
yeah,
want to move forward.
right. That's what we want to do is 100% funded.
Correct.
And then there was a couple of, looking over where we landed on the list, but there was a couple of other really interesting things like population served by the project. We were absolutely at 50. We were the lowest, the absolute lowest. And then the cost per person was at 80,000. So we were the absolute highest. So, and just on those numbers alone, like we have our neighbors, everybody else, like is going to serve more people for
Right.
less money. So yeah, so there would be some other things that don't look so good in trying to continue that water
Right.
project. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the tough part of that is there's 17 residents on that road, on that, so that it makes everything more complicated.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that they don't deserve, I mean, a couple of.
I
folks that
agree.
had Pets die of cancer and whatnot,
I agree.
but,
Right.
yeah,
Right. But
80,000 per person is unattainable.
so is everybody else, you know, so it's like, you're gonna try to save the most for that's
Right.
the idea.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Agreed.
So as far as we know, unless we can get 100% funded, the second part of the project is dead.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's not, as far as we know, it is dead.
It does
But,
seem like it.
The wording,
This
the
doesn't look
wording
good.
is only if we could get 100%.
Okay, fantastic. It still doesn't solve us we should get that back in writing though for that $1. But
We can look at that.
we can look at it. All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Beams? Okay. Parks and Recs, Danielle?
How are you doing tonight?
Good.
I just came here to let everybody know the Fall Festival is coming up. Yay. Saturday, September 28th, we're going to have a community parade. Please, if you have not joined the Facebook group already, do that. We have our digital applications on there. You can fill out an application to join the parade. Do something fun, drive an old car, bring your old tractor, dress up and ride your bike. We had a lot of fun with it last year. And this is just for the community. Good time had by all from 10:30 to 11 for the parade. And then we have 2 performers this fall festival. Mr. Bobby Holly is going to be joining us for an hour to play music for us. And then there'll be a little 15-minute break. And during that break, while we're switching over our music act, we're going to have a duck race. And we're asking that folks donate $5 per duck. And we're going to put them in on one end of the creek and let them go all the way around to underneath the bridge. And then whoever wins that duck race will get a giant rubber duck raft. All right. And then the Hoot Owls will be joining us again this year to play after the duck race till the end of the event. And we will also be running the chili cook-off. And we need chili chefs. We only have one person signed up so far, and I've been badgering my husband. He might have to put a challenge out there. He is actually the reigning champion. So he might be signing up here soon and putting out a challenge to the community. If you have a good chili recipe, please sign up for the chili cook-off. Again, we ask for a $5 donation to be a tasting judge. And so, it was a great, fun family event last year. We had a really good time with it, raised money to make this festival this year even a little bit better. And Sean was kind enough to actually donate his winnings back to the cause. So that was pretty cool. But you, as the chili cook-off winner, you do get bragging rights, a trophy, and a $100 prize. Okay, so get out there and get your applications in. We're hoping to have applications for the community parade in by I think it's the Friday prior to the event. Same with our chili cook-off. We're gonna have lots of bouncy game and bouncers for the kids, games, lots of crafts, hot dogs, water, and everything is free. Fun, family, and free. All right. So that is it for right now. Unless you all have any questions.
I just want to thank you for what you're doing, and it looks like it's gonna be a great time.
Yeah, it should be fun. It should be a lot of fun. We
Get my
got a couple
granddaughter out
extra new sponsors this year and
Yeah, Bobby Holly, he's all over town.
yeah, he's great. He's great. A lot of fun, a lot of energy, and he also does a lot of good in the community too. You know,
Yeah.
we're hoping that he'll be able to raise some donations for his bike
Yeah,
program
bike,
that he does. So, well, thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, unfinished business, revised website revisions.
So I kind
Mr.
of covered
Beamish,
all that.
what's that?
I covered all that in my, so. Like space front to add anything to river.
I do not.
Well,
Oh, to the River Road project? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I do actually. So you talked about it being 100% funded, which it still is. The other thing is it's about on a month delay. They're waiting for one part to come in. Part of this grant was that everything was American made. So they're going to have to do a fitting to hold a place until the American made one fits in. So that's what they're working on. I believe everyone is hooked up to the system through the city. I saw 2 come through today. That's all we have to add.
Website?
same thing, still doesn't have time and I don't have time, so. Maybe it'll slow down, we'll get Tara back on after elections.
Okay.
Yeah.
Roads, construction, anything?
There's a construction end of October,
Okay,
or beginning of October, actually.
okay. We've already covered the River Road water project. Anything not said on that needs to be said?
No.
Okay. All right, petitions and new business. Resolution 9/12/2459, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to contract with the auction company LLC 22551 Bedford Road North, Battle Creek, Michigan 49017 to sell at public auction our 1979 GMC fire truck 531, not to be sold to another fire department, along with other unused township property.
Second.
By Mark,
And then-
roll call.
So do you want to
Just
talk
gonna,
about-
anybody want to discuss it? I'm sorry. Thought that was one of those things
So
we
is-
knew we were doing.
So it's a fire truck and then unused, like, are we talking about old desks or? old-
There's some of this, we have a Ford tractor, if you guys don't use anymore, attachments for that.
Will there be a listing of what's for sale? Like a pre,
Yeah, we'll
I
have,
don't know how an auction works.
yeah, I will do an inventory so that we can account for everything before it goes to auction.
And I know Jim always puts it on, Facebook of what the auction's gonna be, what he's got, what's gonna be there sold that day.
Jim's the auctioneer?
Yes,
Oh.
yeah, he's a Bedford resident, and we go by there quite a bit, and he, really packs a lot of cars in that place, so.
Is it the one that's by the park?
It's right before Wild Mike's,
Oh, up there, okay.
yeah, right before Wild Mike's.
Okay.
When are we targeting to have this stuff to them for auction?
I don't really have a target date other than once we get this done. I think Chief still got some stuff we'll talk about today on the engine, so like we need to de-image that. And I'll have the cemetery guys working on getting that stuff around, like Thor got the tractor running the other day, so, my goal is this next month, when they start construction, we'll need a little more room in the pole barn. So, the next few weeks.
Okay. Do you know how they publicize the things that we'll give them for auction?
So they're like Facebook advertising, they're also affiliated with one of the bigger nationwide online platforms, so they can put that stuff out there nationwide.
Is there a minimum, window notice that we're gonna need to do that, like 30-day maybe, or? Or they can just dump the next day?
Well, whatever the parameters are for an auction.
Did we put a minimum? I don't know, like a 2-week minimum? For Kilo, it's a big fire truck. I mean, what if it doesn't sell?
Well, they also have a contract.
We'll still have auction fees from it. How much are those?
There's a commission,
Okay, just commission.
so you don't pay anything upfront,
What's the commission rate?
20%. He's typically 30%, but he said he would work with one.
Did you check any other auction houses for other percentages?
No,
Should we maybe do that?
not in my opinion. I personally dealt with this one and reputable, that's a revenue. The folks in Bellevue, I think the next folks, I think they have gone out, maybe they're retired. I don't think those are, strong in this still doing it. Plus, I mean, it's not cost effective to pay the maintenance guys to drive stuff clear to Marshall and Bellevue when they can drive it 2 minutes down the road.
Yeah, sure, but $20 in every 1,000 adds up quick when you're, this thing will probably go for like 100,000. We'll be out 10 grand just on 20 grand on.
You are fully able to express your opinion on your vote.
You know what, guys, we can't hear a word back here. It's like everybody is mumbling and we can't hear anything.
We've got a microphone. We should start using it. Should we pass it?
Sure.
Okay. Can you hear me? Sorry about that. Okay, so if we sold the fire truck for $100,000, we would be out like 20,000 on a 20% commission. And we didn't search another auction company at what commission they would charge us, so I highly suggest doing that. Because even a 15% would save us $5,000. Every percent you save us is $1,000. So there are other
That's if
companies
it
on
goes
that.
for 100.
Yeah.
If it goes for
Yeah,
$100,000.
I doubt very much.
Chief, what do you think the fire truck's gonna go for?
Not gonna go for much because it's 48 years old.
Right, exactly.
Old and smart, started already, something like that, it does pump. I would say that some farmer might want to spread water on a field or something, or a track people on their racetrack or something like that. You're not gonna get a whole lot of money out of it.
What would you say, ballpark? I mean,
You'd be lucky if you ever get $1,000.
$1,000? Is that what you said? Really? Buy it for $1,000. Oh, you can
Amen.
pay.
We got our first bid.
yeah.
Y'all heard. That's somebody driving the fire truck.
And with the auction company they wanna use, he's local, he lives in Bedford Township. I said with the auctioneer we're using or want to use, he is local, he's in Bedford Township, he lives right a couple streets over, so I think 20% is pretty fair myself.
I have to support Erica. I don't think it would hurt to make a phone call. I mean, I probably would be shocked, but what if somebody says, yeah, we do it for 10, because it's a municipality, 10%, I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen, but I think we need to ask. I know Belcher Spalding was purchased. I don't know the name, but it was one of the attorney firms in Marshall, so they're still there, it's just a different name. It's not gonna hurt. I mean, if it's a lot of money, it'd be worth it. If it's just a couple percentages, no, it's not worth it in my opinion, but a phone call to find out.
So you make a motion to table the
Well, we're
resolution?
still discussing.
Okay.
I mean, if we know that the vote is already lost, I'm not gonna waste.
I mean,
the time.
if you're only talking $1,000.
Oh, there's no.
But
there's way more.
we're talking $1,000 on one truck.
Yeah.
I remember when we were out cleaning up and putting the flags out, at the cemetery, there was several implements that people were saying, yeah, that needs to go and that needs to go and that needs to
Well, I
go.
didn't know.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not a farmer, but plows, brush hogs, such on and such forth, who knows what we'd get. And
True.
again, if it's just a few percentage points, is it worth it then? Probably not.
Yeah.
But, and I'm sure this is just just checking for the sake of number one, it's none of ours property individually. It's all of our property as a whole. So if we dial a number and somebody says, yeah, we do municipality auctions for 10%.
Yeah.
Well, then that's worth it. It couldn't hurt. So, please.
I would also suggest, knowing how much it weighs and setting the minimum bid for the scrap price of it, so they don't pay below the scrap price.
Anybody else? I guess I would like to make a motion then that we at least, like I said, I'm sorry, I can't say their name, but I know the company was bought. And so there's at least one fairly local auction company out of Marshall. It's a couple of the attorneys that bought it, and I'm sure they're not the ones doing the actual auction, but it's out of Marshall. So I'd like to make a motion that we get at least one more number.
So the thought process is to go forward and roll call this and then bring it back up after the superintendent has
Whatever's the
asked for more.
appropriate.
I think once we roll call it, we've adopted the resolution.
Yes.
It's a no. I mean, if it's a no or a yes.
Yeah.
So it could go either way, but
Again, y'all are having to suffer through me here. If the way to do it is to vote on this, and if it's yes, we continue on with this. If it's no, then I'd make a motion that we get at least that one more number. I guess knowing no other way to do it, I say we take a vote on resolution 9/12/2459.
Treasurer Miller,
No.
trustee Hires,
No.
trustee Meinke,
No,
trustee Dingman,
No.
clerk Baraco, no. 5 no, motion fails.
So you adopt a friendly resolution?
Yes. I would like to adopt a friendly resolution that we seek at least one more number. Again, I think it's only common sense to try to find somebody local and close, which I know there is the one, it wouldn't take much asking. I could even do it tomorrow, and if somebody else knows somebody, please call them. But,
Can we amend that resolution? Would you allow it?
Voted on
yeah,
that.
I really, Erica brought up just a huge point.
Mhm.
We should not sell that. Erica came up with a great point. We should not sell it for less than the scrap price of the truck.
oh, absolutely.
That might very well be a lot more than $1,000 that some farmer wants to pay for it. That was a good, we ought to find out what that scrap price is, and that should be the minimum it sells for.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hoping you'd have the next.
so this resolution has failed. So the next is, are you just talking points to the superintendent to have him in his next quest, find out?
If that's how it can be handled, yes.
I don't think you need a motion.
Right,
Okay.
I don't think so either.
Okay. All right, moving on. Okay, resolution 9/12/2460. Resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Bedford to accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission to rezone parcel ID number 04-370-103-000. Address of that is 1041 North Avenue, and rezone it from RB, which is medium residential, to C, commercial. Do I have
Support for discussion.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion?
So, do we have any idea what they want to do with this property? That's the one thing I don't think I've ever heard.
I know.
They would, I believe, it's a two-story building. On the bottom, they talked about, like a small antique shop. And then upstairs, I can't remember, she was on the fence.
The refillery.
A refill, yeah, that's correct. But that was not set in stone like the bottom floor is.
And she also said there was classroom space. She was gonna rent it out for classroom space.
You want to ask it, but
What shall be a refillery?
What's
So
that?
It's like a bulk goods store where you buy your own like
Shampoo.
reusable bottles and then you're gonna get shampoo, soaps, all that type of, all that sort of stuff.
Okay,
Yeah, she had proposed several different types of what would be commercial business.
Correct. And she also, was supporting women in business,
Yes, she would.
right?
She's also a Bedford resident.
And reading it earlier, rezoning it, period, I don't know why it wasn't to begin with. I mean, it was the church.
Mhm.
And it was zoned residential, not commercial, and seems like it'd be easier to sell the piece of property and somebody to develop it.
The main thing is the planning commission looks at it, it meets the master plan, and the master plan would allow you to go from residential to commercial, not from commercial back to residential. Cause that district is looked at as more of a commercial district, correct?
That is correct, yes.
So
Land use map.
it should be supported.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Any other discussion?
No.
Take a vote?
trustee Dingman,
Yes.
trustee Meinke,
Yes.
clerk Baraco, yes, treasurer Miller,
Yes.
trustee Hires,
Yes.
5 yes, motion carried.
Okay, next, we're gonna have the first reading of the marijuana ordinance amendments as determined as beneficial for the continued administration of township marijuana ordinances. Full draft is in the packet. We're just gonna read the abbreviated amendments. Summary of amendments. Section 1 amends section 4, number of adult use establishments allowed. Eliminated equivalent license requirement. 45 growers accommodates the existing 41 grow licenses, some of which may be medical, and allows 4 more. 5 processors, 5 retailers, 5 excess growers. This will allow some of the existing growers to combine their licenses into excess grower license if they want to increase number of their licenses. If growers combine licenses to get an excess grower license, the township may then choose to drop the number of grower licenses as the annual renewals drop off. This is a natural way of decreasing the number of licenses in the board if the board in the township if the board chooses to do that. Section 2 amends section 5. This eliminates equivalent license requirement, adds prohibition on outdoor grow and outdoor activities. Board may want to strike this section, given that this may be added to zoning ordinance. Section 3 amends section 6. Removed evaluation criteria that the applicant lives in the township or in Calhoun County. That concludes the reading in of the marijuana ordinance amendments. Any questions or discussions from the board?
Yep.
So we have 2 outdoor grows. And we will only have 2 going.
We have 2 outdoor grows and we'll only have 2 going forward. So no expansion there.
That's good.
If I may, that's only if that's adopted in the new zoning ordinance.
Separation.
Correct. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Oh,
I guess it would be most proper to ask, is there anything that you think you should expound on that?
no, I do not. No, I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
That's not necessarily
That's
only
it.
gonna be 2 until
Yeah.
we get to another part.
Oh, and I'm not trying to hold you over any fire. It's just,
No, no,
you're the knowledge on this and I'm just reading.
I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, next, first reading, solar energy system ordinance amendment changes as recommended by the planning commission. Again, full drafts in the packet. Summary of amendments. There's gonna be a change in the setbacks for inverters. Setback from a participating lot, that's another piece of property that's participating in the solars, will be 50 feet. And setback from a non-participating lot will be 800. There'll be a change of language regarding fire suppression. There'll be elimination of internal screening requirement around inverters. Because of the setback, it was an unnecessary verbiage. Clarification regarding noise level permitted from inverters, it's not to exceed 40 decibel. Addition of waiver provision to enhance the planning commission's ability to process special use permits regarding solar energy systems. Mike, anything additional you want to throw in there? Yeah, I'm just reading for you.
You want me to step up to the podium?
Certainly. Thank you.
So this came about as, both a review of the solar ordinance that was adopted, a little over a year ago. With the passing of, PA 233 of 2023, obviously the state has preemption now. So we were looking to, maybe ward off some of the problems that were inconsistent in the solar ordinance that we had. Just those little things, like, for instance, the, screening, there was, we had never processed a solar application, obviously. So when we did the solar ordinance, we were trying to cover all of our bases. When we were reviewing it, with both the state preemption and just the general review, because we're going through the zoning ordinance, we kind of were scratching our heads. Why do we have internal screening on something when we have setbacks to take care of that? So that's where that came from. On advice, of the attorney's office, and then both what we're seeing other municipalities do. The waiver addition there in section 13 just gives the planning commission the ability to look at things more objectively, almost on a case-by-case basis. Obviously, we don't want to have to come back 20 times to amend an ordinance for a specific, entity or a specific application. You should never customize your zoning in that way. So that just is going to give the planning commission a little bit more freedom to take a look at, what's really going on around said parcel that's looking to be developed. And that's becoming more and more common in many different aspects of the zoning, I will say as well. So it just kind of is a way to eliminate the need for text amendments. So, so we're not constantly, sending the board stuff they have to do first reading on it and so on and so forth. And then the setbacks on the inverters, we were at 1,000 feet. We were presented, a noise study that, basically said the inverters at like 500 feet are very quiet below that 40. So we chose to reduce that down to 800, just as, good practice. It was probably a little excessive in the first place, but still giving at least an additional 300 foot from where that noise study is to protect the residents, which is what that's all about. And then the fire suppression came about. The language in the current ordinance stated that all solar farms had to have fire suppression. That is something that we changed in the sense that if it's just a solar farm and there's no battery storage, there's not necessarily a need for fire suppression, obviously. Some solar farms have it, some don't. We've actually developed a battery storage ordinance that will be in the new zoning ordinance that will cover that. And that will have your fire suppression, requirements and so on and so forth. So it was just kind of, placing those where they needed to be separately as far as that goes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
This is a kind of a random question, but if there was like a outage, because they'll have to have their own poles to transmit that out on the lines, does consumers fix it if it's on their property, or does that spark until their own maintenance gets there?
I don't know, exactly how that would work. That would be something that, we can certainly look at with any potential applicant we may or may not have, and, as far as maintenance goes. But generally speaking, from what we have seen in creating the ordinance, that would be on them to take care of. And, they do that most Ricky tick because they don't want the solar fields burned down. That's right. So, sorry for that. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have public comment now. Same thing, public comment, anything that you want to discuss. But rules of proper decorum and manners are outside on the door if anybody needs to be refreshed. Who would like to start first? Mr. Schatz. You want the microphone, Mr. Schatz?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk about is good communication. And that's one thing I would really like to stress. I hope this board can move past any old differences and get to the point to where there's a board here that's seeking maximum communication with the people that they're supposed to be here to represent. I think a huge step forward in this would be to eliminate the 3-minute comment time and to instead maybe you only have 1 minute after each voting item on the agenda. And you wouldn't wind up with people standing here trying to remember a monologue and cram it into a thing about everything they want to say in the whole meeting and fit it out beginning, first, middle, end. It would be much more a communication kind of a thing. And I think if you increase communication, you're going to increase function. I mean, think of any relationship, whether it's a husband and wife, whether it's union and corporate, whether it's management and employees, no matter what the relationship is, if it gets to, there's a problem where it's adversarial, where it's hostile, where it's aggressive, where it's not working out good, what's the first thing that anyone would ever recommend improving? It'd be that communication. But instead, our local township here has gone the opposite way with it. They've talked every single time about the page of rules about public comment time, about how and you may talk and what you may say. You know, I don't think you'd ever hear about a relationship starting to get better if the way that it started off was with a page of rules of how you're allowed to speak to me. I don't think that's welcoming anyone to communicate. I think if you want a good governance here, governance that's of the people, you're going to have people feel like that their input is valued and not shielded against, not worked around. It'd be the easiest thing in the world to improve our communications here. For example, when we have these 3-minute comment times, often people get asked a question or stopped or clarified or something, and it eats up a minute or so off of their time. I think just out of respect, if we're going to limit people to an actual clock on how many seconds that they can talk, I think that a minimum level of respect would be to lead off with saying, stop the clock, please. And then let them continue when the interruption is done. I think if you start making people feel like their input is welcomed here, I think you're going to get a lot better results than if you try and bat everything away as a ruling class. It's super simple. We heard great ideas here tonight about like the scrap value of that vehicle. You know, the good book says that in the multitude of counselors, there's safety. Not in as few elite smart people as you can get running everything without hearing anything from the rest. It's the multitude. That's what we're supposed to be after. You know, everybody having a fair and equal voice.
Thank you, Jess. Okay, who would like to speak next? Sir.
I'll second the motion what you just said.
Thank you.
It's his program.
Anybody else?
I just have a quick question or comment about the solar panels. We actually have solar on our house. Consumer does not, like, if something goes wrong, they don't fix it. Like, it's total separate entities. They do mesh as far as like what our solar makes. It goes to consumers, so they, you know, we don't get billed extra for electric when we make electric. But if something goes wrong, they don't control it. Like our solar company controls that. So I don't know if it'll be I'm sure it'll be the same for the solar farms, but well,
Thank you.
I don't know if it's helpful or not, but.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I'm good. I'm loud. You know that. So, Adam Michaela. Yeah, the rule sheet. And trying to tell people that when they come up here to speak to you, that they have to be nice. And controlling speech in the ways that you've done. You've tried to do that. You've tried to criminalize people. You tried to criminalize myself. Some people were really proud of themselves in getting to arrest me in front of this hall. But luckily justice prevailed last week. And the jury saw plain as day that I was incited by the officials here in this township. That it wasn't me going anywhere to try to make any issue other than ask questions, of which the supervisor at the time immediately stopped what I was saying. The prosecution tried to say that it wasn't about the words that I was saying, but it absolutely was about the words I was saying, as I was questioning the actions of what was going on here in this township. I then, for 14 minutes, was incited to the point when then I lost my temper. These township officials decided to record those last 3 minutes laughing while they did so. But because of their lies on the stand, I was able to be free, as I should be, as we should not be incited by our government officials. When we have a government that controls the speech in a manner where they then push buttons to anger their public and then control their speech and criminalize them, we live in a very scary place. And unfortunately, that is exactly the place that I live and every one of these residents live. That's why we record everything that goes on. Because if I hadn't recorded everything in that time, the last 3 minutes, I would have been convicted of a crime that I did not commit. Because you all here now have been trying to control the speech of the public, all while you then say things at the end of the meeting to make claims that the people that are up here are saying lies and lies and lies and make statements that are provable on film as well. So those films are going to start coming out so the public can see. You liars.
Anybody else like to speak?
Second that also. Public speaks.
I see nobody else. Anybody else like to speak? Okay. Trustees' personal privilege.
No, just want to thank everyone for attending the meeting. It's nice when we get a group here. Everyone participating makes us a better place and a better meeting. So thank you.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Craig, for stepping in tonight. Did a great job. Barry, I'd like to thank you for what you're doing for our packets and making them easier for us to read and putting those, the things on the back so we know what we're reading. I appreciate that. And thanks everybody for coming. Please keep coming. Thank you.
Everybody, thank you for putting up with my bumble. This was unexpected. I hope it wasn't too terrible. I hope everybody supports the Chiefs spaghetti dinner we have coming next month. And I apologize, I will be out of town and will not be able to attend our fall festival, but I hope as many people go to that as possible. Thank you. Elected officials?
And the tax season is rolling. The 14th ended on this weekend, so we can't cut it short. So let's extend it till Monday, the 16th for the last tax day, no penalties, no interest. Also, there's a tax movement going on called axmichigantax.com. And they're proposing that cigarettes, marijuana and alcohol, taxes on those pay for the property taxes instead of you and I. There was an initiative to try to get it on this year's ballot, but they only had about 6 weeks to collect the signatures, and that wasn't enough time, so they didn't make it. So I would suspect that if you walk past people collecting signatures in the first 4 months of next year, maybe check out and make sure it's not the ones that are going to eliminate your property taxes. That might be of interest to you. I would be out there also collecting signatures. So if you see me standing out there, that's what I'm doing. Other than that, it's a great turnout. Even if you're happy, even if you're sad, we still need to know because everything needs improvement. It is a limited crew in here. There's 3 to 4 people in the office, or maybe 5 a day. It's against the 10,000 residents, so it's a feat to try to keep everything under control. And, I love the road department. I was thinking about them this morning. And I can't come down on them hard because they're just underfunded. So like everybody's mad about roads, but I discourage anybody from like being super terrible to the people that are getting half of the funds they need to complete the projects. I would encourage people to pester them for some ditches and to get the trees cleared up. Because as you drive home, on your way home, looking to see where the cracks are and look to see if there's limbs above that. Look to see where the cracks are and look to see if there's a puddle on the road. Like there's and look to see where there's no puddles and no limbs and the road's perfectly fine. So preventative maintenance might be something to look into instead of repaving every time that they crack and break.
Thank you. Joyce?
Erica, just a quick question. Monday, is it regular hours for you?
Thank you. Till 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Okay, so 5 o'clock for taxes. Ballots for the election will be available on the 23rd. We have about 2,100 absentee ballots going out that week of people that have signed up. And don't forget that we have 9 days of early voting, and that starts 9 days prior to the election.
Okay. Again, thank you everybody for attending. We have nothing further. And we're going to adjourn the meeting at 7:56.